Trump wants to neutralize Iran. What the U.S. wants is a regime change in Iran.
The fact that the deals have been made behind the scenes.
This is purposefully, tactically omitted from mainstream corporate press. Keep your friends close. Keep your enemies closer.
Welcome everyone, I'm Spiro here with what I expect to be an in-depth roundtable with a panel of top geopolitical experts. Now let's not waste any time and jump right into this. On today's panel we have the host of Newsbud's Russian Newspaper Monitor, Professor Filip Kovacevic, the host of Newsbud's Money and Fear, Pi Ian, and the founder and editor of Newsbud, Sibel Edmonds. Now, we've been covering some major developments and breaking news in the Middle East as we have already entered a major transition, moving away from Syria and zeroing in on Iran. Now, Sibel, as a top expert on the Middle East and specifically Iran, I want to get your take on the recent news that came out of the Australian ABC news outlet, which cited, of course, unnamed government officials reportedly spilling the beans that the United States was preparing a military strike on Iran's nuclear facilities this month in August. Now, is this something that we, the people, should take, with a grain of salt? Is this something that we should believe coming out of the mainstream media, or is something else going on here?
My question for Professor Kovacevic is, if push came to shove, and Russia did go ahead and say, you know what, Iran, it's been nice, but you are much more expendable than what our wider, longer-term interests entail, and more or less kind of was choosing Israel over Iran, were it to come to a sense of conflict, or choosing essentially Israel / the U.S. / the UK / Canada.
With all this, what is the situation with Russia, both in terms of economically, but also its foreign policy, and what kind of a role that is going to play in determining where Russia is going to be in terms of what kind of position Russia is going to have on everything developing on Iran?
I hope that this war never happens, because Russia would definitely be put in a very difficult situation. And I'm hearing voices in Russia, within the Russian political space, that Russia has a tactical but not a strategic relationship with Iran. In other words, it seems to me that Iran can...
What West has been doing, and this level of posturing, this level of escalation, actually...
Would Russia be shooting itself in the foot geostrategically by, quote-unquote, letting ally Iran go? And it would go. It would go the way of Syria. It would go the way of Libya. It would go the way of, at the very least, Afghanistan and or Iraq, in the way of being...
They know their history, and they have watched all these nation-building operations that we have been engaged in since 9/11.
When you have these type of threats, and when you have consistent threats up to and including essentially starving the Iranian populace through this type of sanctions, the part of the blowback involves...
So what I'm seeing here is Russia trying to play the role of a mediator, not wanting to take sides. But if the push comes to shove in this conflict...
When you and I discuss some of the Iran issues, you emphasize this thing that I have been talking about since my whistleblowing journey began 15, 16 years ago, and that is the real prize, the real long-term goal, the real objective of the main chessboard is...
I hear that within Iran, there is a 100% trusting of nothing and no one.
Do not miss this jam-packed one-hour episode exclusively available at newsbud.com, or you can watch it now at Newsbud Vimeo on demand.